former leader of the NAACP labels Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton race hustlers who are buzzards circling the carcass of a young boy. A court in Boston rules it's all right to videotape cops whether they like it or not. A TSA manager is busted for running a prostitution ring. We'll look at 10 shocking companies the government subsidizes as small businesses, as well as 40 weird facts about the United States that are almost too crazy to believe. And today's lead story, Barack Obama's Supreme Court disaster. My name is Riell, and this is Real Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com, and on Facebook, and on YouTube, and in the book Real Truth, Stay Angry. And of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM The Lion. Our caller number, 877-254-7524. Item from Mother Jones. Solicitor General Donald B. Riell Jr. should be grateful to the Supreme Court for refusing to allow cameras in the courtroom, because his defense of Obamacare on Tuesday may go down as one of the most spectacular flameouts in the history of the court. Stepping up to the podium, Riell stammered as he began his argument. He coughed, he cleared his throat, he took a drink of water, and that was before he even finished the first part of his argument, sounding less like a world-class lawyer and more like a teenager giving an oral presentation for the first time. Riell delivered a rambling, apprehensive legal defense of liberalism's biggest domestic accomplishment since the 1960s, and one that may well have doubled as its eulogy. What's left? Justice Anthony Scalia demanded of Riell. If the government can do this, what can it not do? Riell's response to this basic and most predictable of questions was to rattle off a few legal precedents. Justice Samuel Alito asked the same question later. Could you just, before you move on, could you express your limiting principle as succinctly as you possibly can? Riell turned to precedent again. It's very much like Wickard in that response. It's very much like Raich in that respect, Riell said. Pointing to two previous Supreme Court opinions, liberals have held up to defend the individual mandate. Where the lawyers challenging the mandate invoked the Federalist Papers and the framers of the Constitution, Riell offered jargon and political talking points. If the law is upheld, it will be in spite of Riell's performance, not because of it. The months leading up to the arguments made it clear that the government would face this obvious question. The law's defenders knew that they had to find a simple way of answering it so that its argument didn't leave the federal government with unlimited power. That is, Obamacare defenders would have to explain to the justices why allowing the government to compel individuals to buy insurance did not mean that the government could make individuals buy anything. Say broccoli or health club memberships, both of which Scalia mentioned. Riell was unable to do so concisely, leaving the Democratic appointees on the court to throw him lifelines, all of which a flailing Riell failed to grasp. I thought what was unique about this is it's not my choice whether I want to buy a product to keep me healthy, but the cost that I'm forcing on other people if I don't buy the product sooner rather than later, said Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Riell responded gratefully, that is definitely a difference that distinguishes this market and justifies it as a regulation. Time and time again, conservative attorneys and judges fine-tune their argument to fit existing legal precedent, arguing that the mandate was an unconstitutional use of Congress's authority to regulate commerce because it forces individuals into the stream of commerce, rather than regulating economic behavior already underway. Former Solicitor General Paul Clement, who argued against the constitutionality of Obamacare, ably responded to questions from the Democratic appointees on the court, all of whom offered more persuasive defense of the mandate than the man who had come to court to do so. Most of the conservative appointees on the court appeared to sign on to the argument advanced by Judge Henry Hudson in his decision striking down the mandate. Excuse me. That the view the individual mandate regulates economic inactivity rather than economic activity. That argument was designed by foes of the law to circumvent a previous opinion written by Scalia, where he wrote that, quote, where Congress has the authority to enact the regulation of interstate commerce, it possesses every power needed to make that regulation effective, unquote. Scalia seemed to sign on to Hudson's reasoning during oral arguments. Here, you're regulating someone who isn't covered, Scalia said. You're saying that some people who aren't in the insurance market must be in it, and that's different from regulating in any manner commerce that already exists out there, unquote. Chief Justice Roberts, when asking questions of Riell, seemed to be speaking for himself. By contrast, when addressing the law's opponents, he twice identified the government as the source of the counter-argument. Even Justice Anthony Kennedy, considered to be a potential swing vote, seemed open to the inactivity/activity argument. The reason this is concerning is because it requires the individual to do an affirmative act, Kennedy said, unquote. My friends, I am no constitutional scholar, but I have got common sense, and I know what the Constitution says. And I know the Constitution says nowhere that the federal government can force me or any citizen to purchase something from a private vendor. Anyone who says it does hasn't read the document. I hope that what we're seeing right now is the vivisection of Obamacare in the Supreme Court. I hope it tosses it in the trash heap where it belongs. It is unconstitutional. It is part of the catch-me-if-you-can brand of legislating that the Obama White House has become known for. It is not the way the country is supposed to run. The country cannot run this way. We must operate within the confines of the Constitution. That's how the game is played. Item from Front Page Magazine. In an interview with the Daily Caller, former NAACP leader C.L. Bryant challenged the credibility of Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, whom he accused of exploiting the Trayvon Martin tragedy to, quote, racially divide this country, unquote. He further accused the duo of being race hustlers and said they are, quote, acting as though they were buzzards circling the carcass of this young boy, unquote. I see that C.L. Bryant is basically seeing the exact same reality that I am. We have the tragedy of a dead 17-year-old boy, and everyone, but everyone who possibly can, is jamming their way in front of the cameras, getting into the media, seeking their pound of flesh, trademarking the poor boy's name in hopes of cashing in. Well, my friends, I come from a far away, long ago era in which life wasn't about cashing in, in which the mother of a dead child, God forbid, did not become a media darling, seek out people like Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and start trademarking her dead son's name so that no one else could make coin off of it. This is a multiple tragedy, a tragedy on many levels, not just for the family, but for America in general, because it tells us where the hell we've come in the year 2012. When we come back, we got lots more Real Truth ahead. We got some video, we got some news. You're going to like the mix, as always. It's Hump Day here on Real Truth. We're going to be right back. In the meantime, go absolutely nowhere.